Call the meeting to order.
That's all I bring to work.
A moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mrs. Franks.
Mayor Kindle,
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Present.
Councilman Jenny.
Here.
Councilwoman LaPratt.
Here.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Present.
Councilman Tucson.
Here.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
Okay, I need a motion for approval of the minutes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to accept, receive, and file the minutes of the regular city council meeting held January 3rd, 2024, and to receive and file the library board meeting minutes from November 16th, 2023.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I noticed in the library board minutes that, that they mentioned that all of their yearbooks were destroyed in the flood. They didn't realize it at the time until they started trying to open them and get them back on the shelves. And so they were going to reach out to the community that if anyone has yearbooks that they want to relocate, they could donate them to the library. And so I thought I'd mention that. I don't know if the library is still doing that request or not, but I haven't heard about it. And so that's why I thought it would be good to mention it to the public.
So any former class of Harper Woods High, whatever.
From its conception till now.
Conception till now.
Yes. And I don't know if they reached out to the school district, if they got anything that way, but I thought I'd mention it at least. There might be people who have yearbooks hanging around in their basement that they want to offload.
Yeah, yeah. All right. It's worth mentioning. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public comment on agenda items. Agenda items only. Step to the mic.
Hi, Sheila Hakeem. I live on Little Stone Road. Item J1 of the agenda references a legal opinion regarding marijuana establishment licensing process as directed by City Council to be discussed in closed session. However, the wording skirts a key issue, whether the legal opinion is an oral or written one. Although the original request by Councilwoman Sawicki was clearly for a written legal opinion, the revised wording lacks the same clarity. I believe the final language was a motion to have the city attorney prepare whatever she needs to prepare for a closed session on January 17th. Since a public body is not permitted to go into a closed session to discuss an attorney's oral opinion, as opposed to a written legal opinion, this point should be clarified for the public before going into the closed session. The closed session must be limited to the consideration of the confidential legal advice presented in the legal opinion. A public official who intentionally violates the OMA may be found guilty of a misdemeanor and may be held personally liable for actual and exemplary damages. The last 3 points are addressed in the AG's Open Meetings Handbook. And I've got it. I've got the excerpts. May I approach?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have,
I already have one.
I have one.
no, I'm
We
saying,
have
do you have
both.
a response or it's nothing?
What? We have,
Okay.
we have, we will
Alright.
hold the open, we will hold the closed session consistent with the Open Meetings Act, the Attorney General's opinion, and the state of Michigan law.
Sorry.
Does everybody have one?
Okay, is there anyone else that has a comment on the agenda item? Okay, that takes us to the consent agenda. I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor, I'd
Yes.
like to make a resolution to approve consent agenda items 1 through 7.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Frank.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, that takes us to old business, and if you have none, go to new business and city manager report.
Okay, item G1, progress payment number 1, 2023 sanitary sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-317. Mayor and council attaches a letter from our city engineers transmitting progress payment number 1 on the 2023 sanitary sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-317. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
by resolution to approve payment to Doach Environmental Services in the amount of $78,088 for progress payment number 1 on the 2023 sanitary sewer cleaning and CCTV investigation number 180-317.
Support.
Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I assume we will continue these sanitary sewer cleanings into this year. I'm curious how many of these payments we might look at from 2023, or will it be rolled forward? I don't know how this process will work.
Most of these are final TV investigations and cleaning and heavy cleaning. Certainly, we're gonna, continue because there's always something that needs to be maintained. So we are going to have, the same kind of program in 2024. Can't tell you exactly how many progress payments we have because they have to get in there and see what they find.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
is there any way to get grant funding to cover some of this?
We have applied for grant funding that is gonna cover some aspects of this. Some
Okay.
aspects, yeah.
Thank you.
Any further discussions? Roll call vote, Mrs. Frank.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G2, Grosse Pointe Animal Adoption Society Agreement. Mayor and council attaches a service agreement between the city of Harper Woods and the Grosse Pointe Animal Society, GPAS. This agreement will provide procedures for medical, stray hold requirements, and rates per day for services and animal-type boarding. This contract does not establish GPAS as a department of the city, nor gives GPAS the right to speak on behalf of the city. This agreement supplies a service to our community to supply shelter for lost pets, stray animals, and ensures veterinary care until unclaimed pets can be rehomed or adopted. This has been reviewed by the Director of Public Safety, the City Attorney, and myself. It is recommended that this agreement be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'll offer the resolution to approve the service agreement between the City of Harper Woods and the Grosse Pointe Animal Adoption Society, and further authorize the Director of Public Safety and the acting city manager to sign the agreement.
Support.
Any discussion?
My question may have been answered by the barking coming from the hallway. Because I know that G-Pass and all the shelters in the area are at capacity. And so I know she was doing a drive about, she was looking for crates because she needed some for the police department. So how many dogs are we gonna be keeping here at the police department? I guess just until they can free up a space over there?
Yeah, so far, I thought Corinne would be here. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So far, we've only had to house one, and that's because, for the longest time, G-Pass was only housing our dogs in Grosse Pointe Woods, and I believe the Shores. But, there was a doctor down in the farms who ended up closing. He's no longer doing it, so Corinne is taking on all 6 communities.
Wow.
So we're at a real tough spot right now. We housed a pit bull for about a week and a half. One of our officers actually ended up adopting it. So, but I mean, yeah, we're at a real tough spot right now. If we don't get this funding or keep this agreement with G-Pass, we're in real trouble. So.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Ms. Williams, I think you were next.
I'm sorry, Ms. Williams was first.
Madam Mayor, my question was, one, I was gonna ask, is this a new agreement or something that we haven't done before? Or,
No, there's actually been 2 agreements that I have seen prior to this. This, I believe, is the first time it's brought to the city council.
Right. And all agreements should come through us. But if she's gonna be kinda tied up, does it mean that we may need to look at somebody else also?
Mayor,
I mean,
there's not anybody else in the area.
the facility back there is
So
just enough
we-
for humans, that's not talking about.
And to answer
Max.
Councilwoman LaPratte's question, we can probably house 2 max. You gotta remember too, our officers are not equipped to deal with animals.
Right.
You know, they do their best, but God forbid one of them gets bit, they're off on OJI and, you know, so yeah, we're real crisis. We can probably house 2 max.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Your question is pretty much exactly what I was asking, which is, you know, what do we do if we get an issue? I noticed that in the agreement, it also mentions that GPAAS may not be able to provide shelter for hoarding cases or those with numerous animals, but we don't have any additional facility where we can send them.
Not
Do
that I'm
we-
aware of.
I'm wondering if the Humane Society might be able to, no?
We've tried that and they will not take them.
Right.
Okay.
We had an officer take a dog down to, it's down off of Davison, Conan area.
Yeah.
That Hamtramck Detroit border down there, and they would not take our dog. I said if it did not come from the city of Detroit, and our officers clearly have Harper Woods on their patches, so. Everybody's at capacity.
Another question. GPAAS is a no-kill facility, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know, and perhaps this is a question more for our city, acting city manager, can we link to GPAAS to try to rehome some animals? In other words, a lot of facilities will put up the pictures of animals online and that kind of thing to show the community who's available. I'm just wondering, because I haven't noticed GPAAS doing that. They have a general picture of, dogs in general. But it would seem that heartstrings can be pulled if we get to see the furry faces of those beloved critters.
Madam Mayor?
Madam Mayor.
GPS does have a Facebook page, and they post, if she doesn't post it to the page I run, I find it and post it. I know one of our planning commission members sitting here has fostered a few dogs, so I mean, if anybody can bring in a dog especially when it's so cold like this, just for a few days. They're looking for fosters. Anything we can do to help her.
Okay. Can we possibly link the GPAAS site to our city website? Is that not?
I would prefer not to. You know, clearly, I want to say in the preamble here, it says that this contract does not establish GPAS as a department of the city
Right.
and doesn't give it the right to speak on behalf of the city. There was some litigation that we're not involved in, but they're involved in, but they're trying to get us involved in. So we have to have clear lines.
All right.
Absolutely.
And my last question is, as far as the costs are concerned, I know there's a boarding fee, there's a fee for euthanasia if that's necessary, a fee for medical services for the animal. I presume that the owner, when they're found, or the adopted owner, would pay those amounts?
Okay, we're only responsible for 5 days of
5 days.
boarding, and a GPAS has donors. If they want to keep them longer than 5 days to try to rehome them or to keep them in their facilities, again, the city is not responsible for that. GPAS is.
But if an owner comes forward to claim an animal, will they reimburse the city for the amount of money that we've put to keep that animal alive?
I doubt it. But Sharon, do you have
Sharon?
anything
Yes,
to say?
I can speak on this a bit because we have run into situations where there has been dogs left out or have been abandoned and or abused, and those dogs have been brought to GPAS, and when they come to court, part of the resolution is that they have to pay back GPAS for
Okay.
whatever costs have been assessed, whatever that is.
Okay, so in one way, that'll kind of give us a little
It's
relief.
it's one more method that we try to get GPAS paid for whatever amount, or the city paid if we're the people picking up the tab, yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
But it still doesn't answer my question as far as, say for instance, GPAS is to capacity. We pick up a couple of dogs. We have to end up housing them back there in the police department.
Yes, yes.
Because we have no place to put them.
There's nowhere else to take
So
them.
therefore, we need to make sure that we have an alternative, because keeping the dogs in the police department is just not suitable. So I think we need to look at something to go along with this with GPAS, since she has increased her her range. Because I don't want dogs in the police department.
We've got a cozy little spot for them down in the basement. But once again, I can't have my officers aren't dog handlers.
Right, that's what
And
I'm
I
saying.
can't have them going down there and feeding the dog and taking it out 2-3 times a day so it can do its business. But we will, as opposed to letting it loose back on the
Oh,
streets.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, and so, yeah, we're in a tough spot.
So I'm just saying that we need to also think of something else in conjunction with this. This is all done.
Mhm.
We need to think of something to add to this, because I don't want our police department tied up with dog setting.
Okay, we'll explore
Okay.
any alternatives that are out there.
All righty, thank you very much. Is, any other discussions? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilwoman LaPrat,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki,
Yes,
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams,
No,
Mayor Kindle,
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino,
Yes,
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G3, MedStar Agreement, OWI, OUID blood collection. Mayor and council attaches a memorandum from the Director of Public Safety requesting approval of the attached Mobile Health Services Agreement between the City of Harper Woods and MedStar Ambulance. This agreement will have to be MedStar personnel to provide blood collection services for law enforcement purposes. As his memo states, the current practice of obtaining blood collection for alcohol and narcotic-related traffic offenses is very time-consuming and keeps our officers tied up and waiting for medical personnel to provide this service. This agreement will allow MedStar personnel to conduct this service at the rear of the police station. I have reviewed this with him and concur that this agreement be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
by a resolution to approve the agreement between the City of Harper Woods and MedStar Ambulance for mobile health services pertaining to the collection of blood for law enforcement purposes, and further to authorize the acting city manager to sign the agreement.
Support.
Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I have to ask again, does the suspect get charged?
Chief, you want to speak to that?
So MedStar charges $150 per blood draw. I looked through it, I think we had 17 of them last year. As far as the suspect or arrestee being charged, I believe that would have to come from the city attorney in the form of arrest.
They do not get charged.
Okay.
It's gathering of evidence, they can't be charged for that.
Yeah.
But I think the trade-off, because the director and I have discussed this, is that we save money by having it at the back of the police station. It's more economical and it's far more efficient than taking them to the hospital and having the medical staff whenever they can get to it. As well as, I will tell you in terms of evidence, when it comes to time for trial, I'm not always sure how long the person might have been at the hospital, and there's a strict time period when you have to draw that blood. So I'm very much in favor of this.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Ms. Franks.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
And Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G4, City Insight, Annual Fee and Development Fee. Mayor and Council, at your July 2023 meeting, a one-time development fee was approved for new services to be provided within the City Insight Water Bill app. That fee was divided into two parts, half upfront for the initial engagement and the remainder due at the completion of the additional services. The additional services we now will be able to offer are cash payments for water and taxes to be made at stores such as CVS, Kroger, liquor stores, Walgreens, etc. We will also be able to accept payments for our building department, including permit fees, enforcement fees, certificate of occupancy fees, etc. Lastly, residents will receive overdue bill status reminders to keep their accounts current. Along with the remainder of this development fee, we are required to pay the annual licensing fee for the City Insight app. This covers the period of January 1st through December 31st, 2024. It is recommended that these payments be approved. Mayor, a resolution is recommended.
Madam Mayor, I'll offer the resolution to approve the second and final payment to City Insight in the amount of $22,500 for the additional services that are featured on our water app, and further to approve the annual licensing fee in the amount of $15,600 for the water app, for a total of $38,100.
Support.
Okay, any discussion?
Madam Mayor? My husband tells me I shouldn't ask so many questions, but I have to. When it comes to an online app, we've heard a lot about, hackers and this sort of thing. Do we get a guarantee of any kind from City Insight that, it's a safe platform so that hackers don't get in and,
Nobody can give you a guarantee that your online service isn't going to be hacked. We've never had any problems with it. It's as secure as you possibly can get it in this day and age, but nobody is gonna give you that kind of guarantee.
Okay, but they have taken all necessary
Yes,
precautions and,
yes, we have not had any problem. We have collected close to $5 million with the apps.
wow,
So this has really paid for itself.
thank you.
Any further discussion?
Oh, I did have one question. Yeah, for the people that use the app, are we still gonna have to pay to have them billed by paper? Or can we, reduce our billings, our
Yeah,
water billings?
we're taking a look at that. Right now, we have very reliable payers that just use the app. And we are going to be removing them from the paper requirement. But there's still a few more security features that we have to put in place to be totally 100% sure.
Okay.
Are there any further discussion? Roll call vote, Mrs. Franks.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Councilman Jenny.
Yes.
Councilwoman LaPrat.
Yes.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes,
Resolution passes.
Okay, item G5, cancellation of February 21st, 2024 meeting. Mayor and council, I am unavailable to attend the second meeting in February scheduled for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024. Therefore, it is recommended that the meeting be canceled. Mayor, a motion is recommended.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion that the regular city council meeting scheduled for Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 be canceled.
Support.
In discussion?
Madam Mayor, I just have to point out that in the past, if our city manager was missing from a meeting for whatever purpose, our city clerk would sometimes step up.
Well, they can't do it this time. She's
Oh,
got early voting.
Voting and,
Every year
Yeah.
since 2013.
We have early
Yeah.
voting,
okay.
so she doesn't have.
Oh,
Madam
all right.
Mayor?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I understand that the primary election's coming up right after that, so it's gonna be pretty crazy for the clerk as well.
This will actually be an early voting site
Right.
that day.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Ah.
that's a second reason that might be better to have it canceled.
Yeah, I think things are gonna be pretty crazy around here. Should we just keep our meeting on the first, Monday, or should we move it to the second Monday, or?
Why would we change it?
Just like in the summer, we usually have meetings on second Monday, that's what I'm asking.
There's no
Or we
reason
can
to
just
change
keep it on the first Monday, that's fine too.
Right. There's no reason to change, Marge.
Mhm.
All right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay,
that concludes the city manager's reports.
all right. All right, call the audience. We have 3 minutes to come up to the mic and speak.
Hi, Kristen Olin Sullivan, Country Club Drive. I'd like to talk to you about the Department of Justice, the Americans with Disability Act, and your webpage. The Americans with Disability Act, or the ADA, requires that public websites have certain standards, and a quick check of Harper Woods makes it completely non-compliant with the exception of about 4 pictures. There's over 100 violations on your homepage alone. The federal government takes this very seriously. The first violation fine is $55,000 to $75,000. Subsequent violations are up to $150,000. By denying access to visually impaired or hearing impaired people, you're breaking federal law for the Civil Rights Department and the Department of Justice. So a quick spot check, you can go online and find all kinds of free accessibility spot checks. It will give you a whole list of everything that's wrong with your front page. The So your poorly designed, non-compliant website is not only potentially costing you thousands of dollars, but it's denying people who are visually impaired or hearing impaired access to the important information that you say is the only way that you get information to people. So anybody in the Lions Club or that helps visually or hearing impaired people should pay attention to this because it's a really serious matter. I used to teach this at a community college, and I've seen huge fines be put forth. And all it takes is one person who's visually impaired or hearing impaired who has a problem accessing something from your website, and they can sue you, and they will win.
Seeing that there's no one else that wishes to speak, we could go to call the council, starting with you, Councilwoman Cheryl Constantino.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I have received some compliments recently about our clerk's office. Somebody who was trying to do some research on the different precincts in the congressional district contacted me, went out of their way to contact me and said that Harper Woods did the absolute best job of all 20 municipalities in the 13th district. They were the most transparent, were best labeled, easiest to decipher, to get the information that they needed. So I wanted to pass along that information, but that also reminded me that I had a campaign volunteer that worked very closely with the clerk's office in 2023 and said that they were wonderful to work with. They had a particular staff member that they worked with that was very kind to them and very helpful. And I just wanted to pass along these compliments because it's a lot of times when people contact the city, either the clerk's office or the treasurer's office or a different office in the city, the way that the employees respond really reflects a light upon our city and how people think of our city. And when even people who don't even live in our city say that they've received such excellent service from our city, that casts favor upon us and just makes the whole city look good. And sometimes it might not be an employee that's paid very much, or it might be a part-time employee or somebody, but they are the person who has the contact with the community. And I just think that, you know, our staff is particularly wonderful in that respect, that they do have very good communication skills and are very kind to people who come and ask for help.
Mr. Toussaint?
Yes. Yeah, the very nice parade we did in conjunction with the Harperwood School and our city for our championship team on Saturday. In fact, we were able to get the whole program done just before the storm started. So that meant it was supposed to be. I know we had all the elementary schools. The kids were out there, you know, and we were throwing candy to them and the whole thing. And I really think that the students really appreciated that recognition quite a bit, and I'm glad the team did show that they did appreciate it, and I'm glad we were able to do that.
4 comments. First, to piggyback on what Mr. Toussaint just said about the parade, it was a nice parade. It was cold and a little weathery. The kids really seemed to enjoy it. But I have to compliment the high school, because not only the kids that were in the parade, but when we walked into the auditorium and all those high school kids were sitting in the bleachers, I'm, you know, as a high school teacher, it's rare that you walk into a gym with kids, all just entire bleacher filled with kids, and they were so respectful and so quiet, and they were, you know, I mean, clearly it was the end of the day for them. They were prepared to get up and take off and go home, but they were there. you know, and I was very impressed. I was impressed with the kids at the school. So I do want to mention that. Secondly, Ms. Costantino reminded me that I also received a compliment, this time about our city's front desk, that a couple residents had mentioned to me that they had what pleasant interaction when they came in to pay a bill. That the people that worked the front desk were so pleasant that they were very pleased and very happy to interact with Harper Woods. And so I thought that was really worth mentioning. Third comment is that obviously it's really bitter cold out there. And so please take care. We're going to have a few more days of this kind of weather. And from what I understand, within 30 minutes, a person can get frostbitten. And so I know that I don't know if we have any ability to provide for warming space for any residents, but I've not heard of anyone in our community losing power to their, home. If that is the case, though, I would certainly hope that we could look into in the future, perhaps it could be part of our request to the state to, get a facility available, like our recreation center. We've been talking about that. Perhaps this would be another opportunity for us as a community to have a space that we could provide a service for, warming centers when we have cold like this. And then finally, I've been listening to and interacting with the Redistricting Commission. If you're not aware, the state, the court system has mandated that certain districts in the state be reconfigured. And our House district is among those. And so we have an independent commission that is looking at our area, along with several other areas, including Detroit, and they're trying to come up with a district that would meet boundaries that they have set forth. And it's a headache. I was getting tired of listening to their discussion, but at the same time, they're looking to join communities that have a lot in common, that have shared, facilities. And so one of my arguments was that it would be natural for Harper Woods to be joined to Grosse Pointe Woods. Neither one of us, other than the Grosse Pointe City Park, that is Grosse Pointe Woods Park, is on the waterfront, but other than that, we're both inland communities. We share a lot of our facilities, services, and this sort of thing. And so there, along with areas of Detroit nearby, it's along with portions of St. Clair Shores where we, share the Milk River and this sort of thing. But I really encourage our elected officials here, as well as citizens, to observe and possibly comment on the configuration that's being developed, because the way it stands right now is that we could lose our state representative, that she may no longer be, she may have to go through a re-election process in a completely different configuration. And that worries me because, Representative Paez has done a lot for our community. She's filtered, money in our direction. She's been a voice for us in Lansing, and I would hate to have our community in a position where we lose that kind of strength. And so I do encourage all of us and the public to get involved in this process, because it will affect us. All right, thank you.
Mr. Jennings?
Yeah, just a couple things to piggyback on Ms. Zwicky. Yes, be careful out there with the snow and the bitter cold, and please, if you see a water main break, use another street. If you see the salt trucks going around and the plow trucks, give them room. I've been in them many times and your head's on a swivel, but we're just out there to try to get everything done and take care of it. So if you guys can just give them some leeway, please do. They're out there to make everything safe for you guys.
I just want to say thank you to State Rep Paez and Senator Hertel and Commissioner Colleen. I think our Wayne County Sheriff Washington was there. All these people showed up for these kids on Friday, and it was very nice. I also have been watching this redistricting, and I suggest everybody go on there. We've drawn up some maps. By we, I mean myself and whoever else has wanted to do them, to try to make, District 11 was kind of working. They just changed it 2 years ago, and, now we're gonna redistrict again, and we really need to be with like communities. So, it was on michigan.gov. I'll try to share on our Facebook page the link, if I can find it again. I know I have it in my computer, so, but it was a link through michigan.gov, the redistricting. It was hours and hours of them moving maps around, and some pretty good arguments and some not so good arguments.
Good evening, everyone. Just two things. One, I also attended the Harper Woods football celebration for our high school students for winning the division championship. It was very nice. The parade was really nice. We went down Beaconsfield. It was really cold, but we all bundled up. But it was really nice, and the little kids came out. They were on the playground, and we brought the candy out. The other thing, we were very well represented with not just our city council, the Harperwood School District, School Board, and all the, I think we had at least two senators that were there. Senators, state rep, commissioner, they all came out to support, so that was very, very nice. And there was a lot of awards that were given to the football coach for all of his efforts and the things that he did for the teams. So it was really, really nice. The other comment I was going to make is about, I think it probably is a good suggestion to try to update our website to be more compliant. And that's it.
Mayor, I just have a comment. We are in the process of redoing our website.
Okay.
Yeah, so all these comments are taken to heart right now.
Okay, well, since I have the last word, I'm gonna begin with you, Councilwoman Constantino. I happened to be at the Planning Commission when you supposedly spoke as a citizen, which you are not. You are a citizen, but you are, first of all, an elected official. So when you spoke at the Planning Commission and said the negative things about your colleagues here, it was very offensive. And if you had those kind of feelings, then those are the feelings that you should have shared with us in a private setting, as opposed to getting out in front of public and say that we did not know what we were doing. You were not a part of the committee for cannabis. You did not visit cannabis sites like we did. We knew what we were doing. Unfortunately, they abruptly ended the cannabis committee before there was an opportunity for us to give our findings and to go forward. So you all were kind of caught flat-footed, but that did not mean that we did not know what we were doing. And for you to stand up there in public and say that, it was very disingenuous to us as your colleagues, because we are elected officials, can never take the position that we are just residents. Whatever we say is taken in the context that we are representing more than just ourselves. So I was very offended by what you did and said, and I think you owe us, as your colleagues, a real apology for what you said, because that was not correct. Secondly, the parade for the kids. I saw on Facebook that someone had a comment as to why we had it with Martin Luther King's birthday. This parade was totally driven by the kids. The reason we had it for on Martin Luther King's birthday, and that was the reason, that was the closest date that the parade company would be able to accommodate us with floats. So that is why that date was picked. But not only that, the kids didn't want to wait until June or May because they have so much more going on. Quite a few of them are seniors. So they had so much more going on. They wanted to have the parade like the day after they won, if it had been possible. But they couldn't do it because we wanted an elaborate, we wanted the floats, we wanted the whole thing to be really nice for something that's historical is what they did. So it was their suggestions that we had it when we had it. And it was their suggestion that you tied in what they did, what they accomplished with Martin Luther King. And I thought that was good because, you know, majority of the young people today really don't understand what civil rights movement was all about and what Dr. King really stood for. So for them to want to connect that with their winning was their choice. And we, as adults, followed along with them and gave them what they wanted because they had did something so historical for this community. It was a very good parade, and I'm sorry that so many of us did not come out, but the little children and the kids were there. And as Councilwoman Sawicki said, the kids were so orderly in the gym. They were so respectful. And it was just a very nice time. And it was bitter cold. It was cold, but the warmth from the children's made it all worth our time. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And they're still raising money for the rings. And there will be a ceremony when the kids get their rings. And they will acknowledge everyone that has contributed towards their rings. It's, they're looking so forward to that. We taking those kids down to pick out the floats at the parade company. They've never been that close to a float in their life. They were just like kids in a candy store running from her, and then they found the heads of Aretha Franklin and Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Coleman Young and quite a few of those, the heads that walked, the paper mache heads. And they was picking them up and putting them on and enjoying themselves. And Miss Mayor Kendall, can we get this float? Can we get this float? Can we get this float? And they were all on top of the floats and stuff. I should have taped all that because it was just so wonderful to see kids being kids. You know, in today's time, they grow up so fast, but to see their smiles and the joy that they have just going from float to float to float to float, it was worth it. And for the float to come out that they chose, both of the floats that they chose, they enjoyed it. They loved being on the float. And the kids that was on the playgrounds and all was thrilled with seeing the kids and the marching bands. So it was a beautiful parade. We were cold, but it was so well worth it. So everyone that has contributed to these kids' rings, I thank you. I thank you so much because you are gonna make a bunch of kids very happy, very happy. They are so geeked about what they have accomplished, and they have a right to be. It has never been done before in the city of Harper Woods for the football team. I think basketball has won a couple of championships, but the football team has never won a championship in Harper Woods' existence. So thank you. And I think we will be closing for closed section. We will be going in for closed session. Right? Okay? And I need a motion to adjourn for the closed session.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to adjourn to a closed session for the purpose of discussing a legal opinion. That is, I don't know if I have to, the wording that our city attorney gave us moments ago.
Compliant with the Open Meetings Act and state law.
Compliant with the Open Meetings Act and state law, discussing a legal opinion on marijuana establishing licensing.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
You need a support.
You got support.
Oh, did somebody support it?
No.
Support.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries.